The latest episode of the MVWF podcast. It's basically a post-game show for MVWF's pay-per-view Death Wish, where we saw ourselves quite the event here tonight. I can tell you in no uncertain terms that that was a fantastic event. But I gotta say, one of the biggest surprises of the evening had to have been performed by my guest here tonight, AJ the Giant. You got lucky.
That's what you say, huh, Damien?
That's what I say. That's what I'm always going to say.
Damien, you're a little punk.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You're just a follower of the Shadow King who got his ass handed to him. Even after your little wacky MC Honky Lips tried to save the Shadow King's butt, still didn't work.
Yeah. And you win your matches by dropping your butt on people.
Hey, gotta win somehow, right? Better than your guy can say.
Well, I tell you what, folks. There'll be another day for the Shadow King. That you can promise. But I guess it just really goes to prove once and for all for anybody who ever accused a guy like Brandon Bones or whatever of rigging this game like Rock Holly does every time he loses, that even when you have maximum attribute points, it don't mean shit. So at one end of the spectrum, if the Shadow King has 100 attribute points, technically he could lose to a guy with the least amount of attribute points, like Local Talent. Wouldn't you agree?
I believe Local Talent beat the commissioner of the MVWF, if I'm not mistaken, last week.
Yeah, that's apparently chapping his ass quite a bit these days, I would say. Yeah, there was that interview outside of the Chaotic Wrestling show in Haverhill last week there, where G-Man Ryan Crawford, the new MVWF champion, by the way, decided to talk some smack to Brandon Bones outside of that event. But that being said, what do you think about our new heavyweight champion, G-Man Ryan Crawford, 3-time champion?
Hey, props to Crawford. This is the new generation taking over.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and make the announcement right now. I mean, just at the end of the broadcast, if any of you were watching, the New Hampshire State Athletic Commission, which is the state where the headquarters of the MVWF is housed, made a phone call at the end of the show, just about at the end there, and apparently has canceled Brandon Bones' solo championship shot at the MVWF title. Controversy right from the get-go. What do you say?
Well, I wonder what Brandon got pegged for. Did he fail a drug test?
I would say that probably it has something to do with the fact that, well, I mean, even though he was victorious tonight under some pretty bullshit circumstances over Kenta, I mean, he wasn't the only person out there tonight who was trying to get some help from outside the ring, as apparently the Rock and Roll Express is back in the MVWF. Apparently they will not go away.
Yeah, they're like like cockroaches. They just don't die.
Yeah, absolutely. I can announce that it came across my desk towards the end of the show. The main event of the next pay-per-view 4 weeks from now will be a 4 corners tag team match for the MVWF World Tag Team Championship, as the Jackson Boys being thrown in the deep end of the pool after having won it from the Kingdom of Nightmares, and they will have to face 3 other tag teams for the first time in MVWF history.
Do we know who they are yet, Damien?
Say that again?
Do we know who they're going to be, Damien?
At the moment, it has not been announced, but one can presume that the former tag team champions, the Kingdom of Nightmares, would be in at least one of the 3 teams, considering that they do have, the championship's prerogative and whatever for a championship rematch. And of course, they have all the reason in the world to want to get back in the ring with the Jackson Boys. But I'll tell you what, it looked like they got taken to school tonight. The Kingdom of Nightmares, that is.
Well, I could see King of Nightmare in there. I could see Whiteside and Doyle.
Yep.
They have a reason to be in that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, my request to have me and Mr. Bones reunite apparently is not going to happen due to Mr. Bones getting pegged to PEDs.
One can wonder. I mean, he doesn't wear a shirt anymore and stuff, and boy, does he look jacked than he used to be last year when he had that gut.
That comment was made 2 weeks ago with those ads.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I want to say congratulations to my brothers for winning the tag titles, though.
Yeah, well done on them. I mean, you know, and again, I said at the end of the match, there was apparently the tough love finally paid off because Nick looked excellent in the match tonight, as did Kyle.
Yeah, they both came to play today. It was a good game.
Yep.
Good match.
One has to wonder as guys like Kid Christian have been kind of like floating underneath the surface. He looks to be stepping up the ladder quite literally tonight as he won the ladder match over Jimmy Controversy and Local Talent. Ryan Doyle avenged his loss last week to Ron Awesome in pretty convincing fashion this time around. And he looks to be perhaps getting back into the title scene. Brandon Bones, in spite of the fact that his match has been canceled, which would have been a rematch, the very first rematch one-on-one between Ryan Crawford and Brandon Bones, that would have been a pretty big match, a pretty big title defense, as, Bones is, well, I mean, he fucked over Kenta, but he was only doing a one-shot here, so he's gone. And then, of course, the Giant stepped up big time, who's got a tremendous record, yes you do, in singles matches this year. What do you say is your argument for being the one to receive a championship match against Ryan Crawford?
I think I got to stick to the claim. I don't see anyone who's done more than myself in the singles division besides maybe. Actually, I don't think anyone's really been as successful in the singles division this year as I have.
Are you saying no one's on your level?
Oh, no, definitely. There's people on my level. I'm not saying people are above me.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying there's anyone out there that I can't beat one-on-one.
Right.
And that was proven by beating the Shadow King, who nobody, and I quote, not one person gave me a shot in hell of defeating this aberration from hell.
I can't disagree with you there. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that you failed to do in the 5-way match back at the Kings of War pay-per-view was that you failed to press slam the Shadow King. And not only did you do that tonight, you did it twice.
That is true. But needless to say, Damien, you got to remember, I had the Shadow King beat with 3.5 minutes into the match.
Yeah.
That's when little honky lips decided to get intervening. And he saved the Shadow King and gave me a little bit more damage, but I still came out on top.
Well, Yamaguchi-san, the referee tonight, he made the right call.
Did not have a good night. He did not have a good night tonight.
He didn't make any bad calls, but he did have a tough night trying to keep things under control, that's for sure. And he had to throw Honky Lips out of the match, who clearly dove into the ring and gave, and prevented what would have been either a pinfall loss to the for the Shadow King, a disqualification loss for the Shadow King, but ended up getting pinned anyway.
Right. Well, I think the Shadow King needs to do? I think he needs to go back to hell, lick his wounds, and see who he can go after next, because I don't think he's got any reason to see me again.
I have no doubt in my mind that this is not the last you've seen of the Shadow King, sir.
Oh, I'm sure he'll come around somehow. He's like cancer. It just keeps coming back.
All right. Well, that's pretty much the gist of it right there. So with a couple of big announcements that the tag team titles will be on the line. Maybe not next week, but definitely... the tag title match will be at the main event of the pay-per-view. And because I think if either of those teams had won, both of them deserve a chance because of the quality output and because of the heated rivalry that they have to push that into the main event and stuff like that and have the fact of the matter is that as good as the heavyweight division is for the title, as good as those matches have been, and they had another barn burner here tonight, although it was a very decisive victory in just about every case here tonight. The tag titles are going to get that main event next time. It's kind of their turn.
They've earned it.
Yeah, and they're going to do it in such a way that has never been done in the MVWF before, where there's going to be 4 teams, 8 guys out there all at the same time competing for the tag team belts. Now,
well, that'll be exciting to see, dude.
right, but the question that remains hanging in the air that we don't necessarily have an answer for is that although Brandon Bones is not going to be receiving a one-on-one title match against Ryan Crawford at the upcoming during regular season events coming up here, it appears that there might be a whole host of challengers to kind of pick from, because a lot of guys staking claim to a title shot right now.
That happens to me every time we talk, Damien. You keep telling me more and more people have a claim. It turns into a fatal three-way, four-way, something like that for the number one contendership. I end up finishing second in that match and right back to the line.
Ha 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 ha. Well, that's just the nature of evil, bro.
It is. It totally is.
All right, folks. Well, that's it for the podcast and stuff like that. Don't want to waste any more of your time and stuff like that. There's a bit of a forecast of what you can look forward to. Did you also happen to catch the promo by the Shadow King at the beginning of the show?
Oh, yeah. I definitely heard his talk about how he's going to convert me to the other side upon my defeat, and how Damien Andrews sounded like he was ready to drop trout and start sucking on the Shadow King.
Oh,
I heard it all.
I love the fucking. It's an idea that I was trying to do. Just kayfabe off for a second. It was an idea that I'd been trying to do, but there was something wrong with my GarageBand app for a little while, and then apparently it must have fixed itself because it wasn't allowing me to do all of those vocal things and stuff like that, like I used to do last year for like all the ring announcements and stuff. And,
yeah.
Like it just wouldn't allow me to use the microphone or anything. And then eventually, I don't know, fucking something happened and it fixed or whatever, so I was able to cut the promo, and I wanted to do it in such a way where it was an interactive thing, so I had to like script things out a little bit and pick spaces and shit and try and time my live dialogue at the same time so I could basically talk to myself.
Yeah, I thought James was going to like, no, I'm not supposed to do the talk.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for the episode and stuff. We're signing off right now. Don't hang up, AJ. Give me a second here.
I won't.
All right. And that's it for the podcast.